GC Films, creativity at its best. Kalalalo Yahuwah, Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad. Shalom Makazak Mashpaka. I send my greeting to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad. I am back again today on the show, Script Unveiled. And like you all know, your humble host, I remain the same DGN Yasharala, Daniel Yahuda Israel from the mighty tribe of Judah, right here in the heart of Nigeria. And on today's show, we are actually going into a very nice voyage this time around. Like you all know, on this show, we always try to bring out things and settle them all out with the scriptures. For those of you actually who might have missed the previous episode, I will advise you to please go into our YouTube channel, go to our video gallery section, and go back to catch up with the previous classes. And I promise you that you will definitely have one or two things to learn, because on Script Unveiled, we are here to not only edify alone, but we are also here to educate our people as well. But before we go on today's episode, we would like to go on a commercial break. Please don't go nowhere, because I'll be right back. Simply because this particular episode that we are embarking on started for today is going to be a series. And this series is a class that you must not miss, because it is going to take us back to the roots to know about some things that have been hidden from us. But before I let the cat out of the bag, let us go on this commercial break. So I'll be right back. For sponsorship, advert placement, please call or WhatsApp this number +234 811 731 0928. Welcome back to the show. I still remain your host, DJ Yasharala, and it's still your program, Script Unveiled. So, on today's episode, we'll be looking into a series which I titled Historical Secret. The title of this series is tagged Historical Secret. And on this historical secret, we'll be looking at some things that have been hidden from us. And like you all know, if you want to make a positive move, let us start from where you are at first. Which simply means this historical secret, I'll be looking at this place, Nigeria, where I actually am. So therefore, on today's part of this series, I'll be looking at the strangers within Nigeria. Why did I choose to talk about the strangers within Nigeria? Who are the strangers within Nigeria? Majority will say, should I say that those so-called unlearned Hebrews, based on what their Pharisee teacher have told them, they will believe that everyone from Africa actually are all Hamites. Truth be told, most part of Africa was actually a residential place for the Hamites before. But along the line, some things happened which actually made the children of Israel to flee. I'm sure majority actually might be asking themselves, what actually are we talking about here? Yes, at some point, the children of Israel actually, they fled from the land of Israel into the mountain. Let us check that in the Bible. Let us go back into the Bible and pick it out from where it is. Matthew chapter 24. I'll take from Matthew 24. Matthew chapter 24. I'll take verse. Let me start from verse. I'll start from verse 15. It says, when you therefore shall see the abomination of dissolution, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso read, let him understand. Verse 16. And let them which be in Yahud flee into the mountain. Now, where actually is the mountain? Majority don't know. Why? Isaiah, the book of Isaiah chapter 1 verse 3, it says, the ox knows his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Yasharel does not know, and my people do not consider. Why? Because the thing is, after the colonial master, I'm not going to hide nothing. After the slave masters, after they enslaved our people for years, then with the lies of education, they changed from slavery, turned it into colonization. That when they colonized the spot, so a lot of things actually has been changed in which today would dig them out. Now, talking about the strangers within Nigeria. Who are those strangers within Nigeria? Let us see them. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28, I'll take verse 43. And it says, the stranger that is within you shall get up above you very high, and you shall come down very low. Majority will think these strangers actually will happen to be only the Edomites, Esau. The really strangers. Now let us go into history. This place called Nigeria actually was not originally called Nigeria way back. It is just an offskirt. It's just a plain land. But do you know that there's a particular time in this world whereby something happened in which this that actually happened, they never for once taught it to our people. Guess what actually happened? Do you know that between the year 1500 and the year 1600, there was a particular slavery that happened, which was actually called the Trans-Saharan slave trade. This Trans-Saharan slave trade actually was a particular slave trade that happened, which actually was held and was actually inculcated actually by the so-called Africans, in which they call the Arabs. Majority will ask themselves, but the Arabs actually, they are fair people? No. If you go back in history, according to this map you can see right now, do you know that the so-called Arabs that came way back during this Trans-Saharan slave trade were black people, and they came from the heart of Cairo? We get to ask themselves this question, that how did the Arabs go to Cairo, Egypt? Now here's the whole history. Remember that the Arabs that we so-called today were the descendants of Ishmael. And remember that Ishmael's mother, who was a handmaid of Sarah, was actually Hagar the Egyptian. So when Hagar and Ishmael were being sent out, Ishmael still remained to be an Egyptian, never to be Hebrew, because he lived with his mother. Now, this same descendant of Ishmael was the one that begatted some other nations, such as the so-called Arabs. Because in case you don't know, the Arabs actually were black people. As you can see right now on the screen, you will see a depiction of the Arabs taking the Negroes as slaves during the trans-Saharan slave trade. But here's the question. They hid this thing from our people so that we will not know about some hidden truth. Now, these so-called Arabs, who are actually originally Egyptians, they were never the white Arabs we have today. These Egyptians, they left the heart of Cairo, fleeing into Africa. And according to the map you can see right now on the screen, you will see that there are actually a route taken by the so-called Arabs from Cairo going down into the heart of Africa. With that being said, then you will know, and according to this map, you will see that even Egypt itself was attached to Africa. To tell you that this so-called mentality of the now called Middle East was all the lies of Esau. They made that canal to separate it from Africa so that we will not know who we truly are. Now, the Egyptians, the Arabs that fled from Cairo, they came into the heart of Africa, and like you can see these other places that they went to. But here is one place I want you to see. Look at this part they visited. If you observe in this part right now on the screen, you will see that this part called the Hausa towns, it was never actually in the heart, it was never in Nigeria. Looking at the map, it was never within Nigeria hemisphere. So actually, who are the Hausas originally? The Hausas actually were never part of us right from time. They were actually dwelling in the outskirts of Nigeria, outside Nigeria. And in case you don't know, these same so-called Arabs that came down here during the trans-Saharan slave trade were actually, some part of them were called the Fulanis. And in case you don't know, these so-called Fulanis, according to the Bible, they were never actually Fulanis. They were the descendants of some nations that people don't want to just while away from. The Fulanis actually are the real Persians. These Arabs that came during this conquest of the same so-called Saharan slave trade, they were actually the descendant of the Persians. Also as well, the Hausa towns that was outside Nigeria, that was never part of Nigeria before, those who are dwelling there actually were actually the descendants of the Assyrians. They were all the descendants of Ham. Now, when the Persians, which is actually the Arabs, when they came down into Africa, partially the Persians and the Assyrians, they are from the same offspring, from the same descendants, so they can almost hear themselves. For that singular act, the so-called Arabs were able to come to the Hausa town to come and meet with them, and that was how the Persians, that's the Arabs, the Fulanis among them, were able to hear the language of the Hausas, and they can communicate in the language of the Hausas. But they are being smart on one end, and what is that smartness they had? These same so-called Persians, these same so-called Arabs, the Fulanis, they have their own language, which is actually different slightly from that of the Hausas. But they never taught the Hausas their own language. That is why even in Nigeria today, the Hausas actually, they can speak their own language, but they cannot speak the language of the Fulanis. Yet the Fulanis actually can speak the language of the Hausas, and they can speak their own language as well, to confuse the Hausas from listening to what their conversation is. So here's the funny part. Now, these Arabs were now the same people that came to the Hausa towns to come and commune with them, and from that commune, Remember, their initial plan was to come and take slaves. This was how the Hausas now joined the Fulanis to lead them into Nigeria through Lake Chad. Now they led them into Nigeria through Chad, and they'll keep lying that they actually came in peace. It was all lies. They came in through war. They killed people. They kidnapped a lot. They sold a lot as slaves. But according to them, they tagged that particular convoy, they tag it as jihad. They call it jihad. During that jihad, they killed a lot of people and they stole our people. Right here. Now, after the trans-Saharan slave trade, remember that the Hausas were never part of Nigeria. It was after some years later, that was when the transatlantic slave trade came, when the so-called white man now fled into Africa. Fleeing into Africa, firstly, Golderia was one that discovered Nigeria, this part called Nigeria first. But along the line, he has other businesses to attend to, so he handed over to Sir Frederick Lugard to take over from where he stopped. So Sir Frederick Lugard, being the slave master to this place called Nigeria, now the Hausas outside Nigeria can see that yes, truly, now they can let this is their own way to now make their own ends meet, because the Fulanis that came down to Africa to steal slaves, they used the help of the Hausas, but they never helped the Hausas to get shares from what they got. Because in case you don't know, majority we keep talking about this particular guy, Mansa Musa. He claimed that he's the wealthiest man, the wealthiest black man from Africa, who is actually from Mali. Here's the truth. Mansa Musa himself actually was also part of these Arabs. They only use the countries to lie to you. Mansa Musa is a descendant of these same Persians that came to Africa to steal people. The wealth that he claimed to have actually was not a wealth that just fell from the sky, no. He got those wealth out of the slaves he stole, the people he stole. And back then, we all know that when it comes to selling of slaves, it is one way where these people get their own riches, because they sell the slaves in large numbers to different merchants. Remember that even our ancestors, Joseph was also sold to some slave merchants. To tell you that this slave business have been existing from the time back. Now, because the so-called white man has taken over this part called Nigeria, that was what made the Hausas, who are actually not happy that the so-called Arabs used them to steal slaves and never give them a share out of what they earned from the slave they killed and they stole. So the Hausas are trying to now go by themselves to also get their own share based on their greediness. That was how the so-called Hausas left their own town that is outside Nigeria, came into Nigeria, and also tried to take up territory bit by bit. But instead, they took themselves to the so-called colonial master, the slave masters, and humbled themselves to become the puppets of the slave master. In one way, they end up working for slave masters as their military might. But along the line, when things start escalating until 1960, that Nigeria took its independence, automatically there, the Hausas have known that those of us who are here, we can see how the Hausas made themselves the slave master's puppet, who are putting pain upon our people during that slavery. But for that singular act, the Hausas, after the independence, they fled. They were nowhere to be found. That was why the first prime minister in Nigeria was actually an Igbo man called Nnamdi Azikiwe. Now, it was after this period, remember that the Hausas have left their land, they've migrated into Nigeria, and they've started spreading. That's why even on the map of Nigeria, you observe that the northern part of Nigeria actually, it was connected to the same so-called Chad. It is connected to Chad, also connecting to, if you check the map, it's also coming from that their same so-called Hausa town, how they migrated into Nigeria. And if you don't know, even till this day, the Hausas themselves, they themselves can never open their mouth and say that any of their ancestors was ever for once enslaved. But do you know one shocking thing? These Fulanis still had evil plan. Please listen to this.
Fulanis own Nigeria. Written by Osman Umar Sokoto, philosopher, teacher and activist, 2022. We must make Nigeria a Fulani nation, and that's final. There is nothing anybody can do about it. When we said that Nigeria belongs to our father Othman Dan Fodio, it wasn't a joke. Haven't we told you that the oil in Bayelsa and anywhere in Nigeria belongs to the Fulani? Are Fulani not in charge of every oil wells and oil companies in Nigeria? Who owns the oil in Lagos State? Dangote, of course. Didn't we tell you that Benue belongs to the Fulani by the right of conquest? Didn't the Fulani become indigenes in Benue and Jos? Soon a Fulani will become governors in those places, and our conquering of those places will become complete. Are you still listening to the ranting of that Governor Otten? He is just making noise, seeking sympathy, and fooling his people. He knows he got no balls. He knows he can do nothing. What did he do when we asked that they submit their weapons? Nothing. They submitted, even when they knew that our foot soldiers, the Fulani headsmen, are still with their AK-47. They handed to us their double barrels, and we kept our AK-47, and you say Fulani is not in charge. Are we not in charge? We laugh when people make noise. Let me ask you people, what did you do when we started showing you all the different faces of the president? What did you do when we took over the police, the army, immigration, custom, etc.? Did you cough? Is Fulani not in charge of all security segments? Is Fulani not DPOs and army chiefs in all your localities? What have your leaders done about it? Have you not seen herdsmen killing people? Have you seen one herdsman in police cell or prison? How many herdsmen have they sentenced? Have you heard that army attacked herdsmen camps? That Air Force bombed them, or police responded when our Fulani herdsmen came for attacks? What happened when we killed 300 in Agatu? What does that tell you? Is it not enough for Fed government to declare state of emergency and fish out the killers? Government will only sympathize. What does the silence of your leaders tell you? They are our slaves. Both from the south, southeast, and west, everyone you call your leader is our slave. And before anyone joins them, he or she must agree to be our puppet. Do you wonder why a Ebonyi state governor still protects Fulani headsmen and kill his own people, even after our headsman killed his own people? Are you surprised that former Governor Obiono has Maeti Ola representatives in his government? That's when Fulani headsmen under Maeti Ola are killing his people. We own them and they are our puppets. We can save and destroy them anytime. Can't you see what is happening in Imo State? What did your leaders do when we removed your elected governor and put a man that took fourth position? Did they cough? Ihidioha is foolish. For 1 year, we wanted him to start worshipping us and he refused. He allowed IPOB to demonstrate without our soldiers killing them. Now he is a governor only inside his family house. Ho 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 ho. Let me tell you the truth. You must worship the Fulani if you must rule your people in Nigeria. Our slave Hope is doing a nice job. He has killed ESN commander and he is still killing. When we are done, you all will understand how powerful the Fulani is. We are master planners. Do you know the number of Fulani from West and North Africa that have become Nigerians in the past 20 years? and with NIN registration more will become Nigerians. Are Fulani not sacking villages and renaming them? What have you all done about it? When we declared no visa for Africans, we knew what we were doing. We will take over Nigeria and you all will not do anything. We opened our borders and allowed Fulani from West African countries to come in, and we call it visa on arrival. If you cough, we imprison you, send you to exile or waste you. Yes, your leaders are our slaves. Is Tinubu not worshipping us? We promised him president and he started betraying his people. Let him come and be president, let us see. Are Tinubu and Osibajo not fighting now? It is part of Fulani agenda. The presidency is going back to the north. Wait and see how it will happen. That one in Rivers State called Governor Wike. That one is a big clown. He was bragging to be a hitman, claiming up and down that he loves his people. What did we do? We simply promised him the vice president position, gave him more chances to loot his people, and he went mad and started killing his people. He gave his own Abigbo women to our soldiers to rape and kill. We are not done with you guys. Those ones they call Ohanis is now ours. When last did you hear them talking? We bought them over a very long time ago. Whatever they say today is what we want. They are now a tool to further Fulani reign. They said that they can't be Islamized and Fulanized, but you can go to Enugu and Ebonyi State and you will understand what we have done. West. We are on top of the game. We have already taken Ilorin a long time ago. We have gradually taken lots of places. Didn't we send them to the Benin Republic as refugees? More and more to come. Where are the Afinefears? Where is Sunday Igboho? Where is Namdi Kanu? Where are the Yoruba Obos? Where are the human rights activists? They are all silenced and caged. The only obstacle along our way is that one calling himself Motsi Namdi Kanu and IPOB. But we will deal with them. We will use his own people to deal with him. And we have started already. Didn't we get his people to proscribe his group even when they killed no one? Didn't his governors support Operation Python Dance that helped us kill more than 300 of their own youths? If you doubt it, then tell one leader in Southeast that condemned the killing, if not that stupid and useless Abaride. We have raised men among his people to write against him. We have successfully bought some people around him over, using their own Eastern leaders. But in their foolishness, they never knew it was the Fulani that sent their own people to buy them over. Is his former ally and deputy not today against him? What did you think happened if not the power of the Fulani? We are getting closer, and we got no much time. Quran must be dipped into the Atlantic Ocean. And that's final. Islam is spreading fast, and many Christians are converting to Islam. Where are the pastors that can talk? They are after their own selfish interest. Nigeria is a Fulani inheritance. We planned this decades ago and we must actualize it. Presidency is going back to another Fulani man in PDP that will spend another 8 years. Wait and see as things unfold. Written by Osman Umar Sokoto, philosopher, teacher and activist, 2022.
Now, I'm sure you've listened to what you just heard now. You can hear the initial plans of the Fulanis for Nigeria. But here's my question. The majority will say, all these things I'm saying, is it actually in the Bible? Let me now show you the scriptures about how these so-called Arabs find themselves to come to this place and steal people. Book of Joel. The book of Joel chapter 3. I'll take from verse 1 down to verse 8. And it says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Yasharel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Remember I told you, the Arabs came down here to steal our people and sell them as slaves for their own ends meet. Verse 4. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Saul and Sidon, and all the coast of Pelesheth? Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Verse 5. Because you have taken my silver and my gold. Majority will say that what actually is the gold is talking about. Let me just show you that real quick. Lamentations chapter 4 verse 2. Let us see the gold that Yahuwah actually is talking about. Lamentations chapter 2 verse 2. Lamentations chapter 4 verse 2. And it says, the precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hand of the potter? So in this Bible verse, who actually is the gold of Yahuwah? The precious sons of Zion. We, his people. So let's get back to the scriptures. Joel chapter 3. We are now in verse 5. It says, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my godly pleasant things. The children also of Yehuda and the children of Jerusalem, that's Jerusalem, have you sold unto Yavanim, that ye may remove them from their borders. Can you see that? Verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of Yehuda, and they shall sell them to the Yivahim, to the people far off, for Yahuwah have spoken it. Truth be told, this did happen. The Arabs, the Fulanese, they came to steal our people. Along the line, the Hausas themselves, they want to come back here to come and do their own part and get their own monetary gain. But it never worked for them just like it worked for the Arabs that came at first. And remember, the Bible itself says, according to the curse upon Ham, it says that your children shall be slave of slaves. Truth be told, it was because our people, our forefathers, has heard the commandments. That was why I was able to make this slave of slaves became so high to take our people as slaves and sell them. But the question is this: did it actually stop there? On this same pace was how this same, that's why even right now in Nigeria, those who call themselves Fulanese, they call themselves Fulanese going into cattle rearing. But the ugly part there is this: everyone who's actually rearing cattle are only meant to have a staff to lead the cattle. But in Nigeria here, the Fulanese who are rearing cattle in Nigeria today, they are walking on the streets with rifles, with machetes, with weapons in their hands. Here's my question: if you are not taking your cattle into the forest to feed, you are taking your cattle into the street where people are living, what is the essence of the weapons in their hand? It is based on what we've listened to earlier, the initial plans of these so-called Fulanese. Now, talking about the slaves of slaves, yes, if you observe right now in Nigeria, majority of the scavengers that we have out there, those who are actually stepping out there, picking irons, even stealing people's properties that are actually metal, is the work of this same so-called Hamites, these Hausas. It's only among the Hausas you will see scavengers. Among them you will see different kind of thieves, whereby they go as far as they try to be your friends, and then at the end of the day they steal from you. Among the same Hausas, you see them pushing trucks. They are the one doing one of the worst things right here, most especially in the city where I am, the city of Lagos. The funny part is this: these same so-called Hausas, they will leave the place they've stolen and called their own land in the north. They will come down here to Lagos. Guess what they are here to do? They only come here to say that they are come here to come and hustle. They will leave their land without their wife and their children to come here, and they keep living in uncompleted buildings. They are here to live in some kind of crazy place. Some even go as far as sleeping in the front of people's shops to pass the night. But the thing is, when they end up starting their trouble, when they end up start making war, start fighting against the people of Yoruba, the Hausas, they know that they have nothing to lose. So it's causing nothing to cause trouble and run away to their own north. But at the same time as well, the Bible itself have said a prophecy. Among these same Hausas, we have some of them actually that are still following the trademark of their forefathers, that still have that wealth with them. That is why if you observe, even in Nigeria today, most of those people that help people in changing currency from other currencies to Nigerian currency are the so-called Hausas, and some are even Fulanis. But here's the question: does Israel even care to find the truth about these so-called enemies within us? They think because we are all dark-skinned, we are all the same. No, we are not the same. Remember that these other nations, they know that yes, Israel actually is a chosen nation. So for that singular act, they are trying their best to see how they can marry with our people, to see if they can get their own descendants to be saved as well. It's not possible. You can't play wise with Yahuwah. It's not possible. Because a child actually is of the seed of his father. So you cannot expect an Hamite father to try to get married to an Israelite mother. I think the child that will give birth to is actually Israelite. No. The child is the seed of his father. That's your truth. Hosea, the book of Hosea chapter 4 verse 6, it says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected the knowledge, I will reject you, that you shall be no priest to me. Seeing you have forgotten the Torah for your Elohim, I will also forget your children. Yes. That is why till today, our people actually, they are blind to say these things. They don't see the enemies within. And in case you don't know, the current plan now of these same so-called northern strangers among us, they are planning to take over this place called Nigeria. That's why one thing about me is I don't put my hands into anything that's to do with politics. But here's the fact: for this coming election 2023, the best option is whoever wants to have his or her running mate should not even have these northerners at all among them. Otherwise, these northerners will try to join themselves to you to act like they are nice. But here's the fact: once you get into power, these northerners will try their best to kill the person that's actually ahead of them, so that they can take over the throne. And when they take over the throne, forget about it. Then their plan is now fully executed. But the thing is this: to stop them from making this their plan a success, then we need to see how we can stop them from even coming anything close with the power. Otherwise, that's the end. But don't get it twisted. They might only try their best, but Yahuwah actually have. Also as well, like we all know, one good thing is not enough for one man. So also as well, don't forget to also share the videos with friends, families, and loved ones. Let them also get knowledge that you are also getting as well. Because he that gets knowledge and keep it to himself is actually doing not good for himself alone, because he can't keep knowledge to himself alone and die with it. There's love when you share knowledge with others so that they also as well can be informed. Remember this word they do say, whoever is not informed is practically deformed. So that being said, if you have questions that you want to ask, you want to chat with me up on WhatsApp, ask questions, come for counsel, and getting answers from the scriptures, please feel free to call this number right now. You can see on the screen. For those of you who are actually not in Nigeria, you can only chat me up on WhatsApp. Chat up on WhatsApp with this number you can see on the screen. And also as well, please don't forget to introduce yourself, because we all know that we have a lot of people out there with some kind of ill spirits. But we know you're actually coming here to get more information, get more education, get answers to your questions, then please always try to introduce yourself, then come up with your questions, and I promise to answer every question that you actually have to ask. With that being said, I pray that you enjoy your Shabbat, and I also pray that Yahuwah will keep opening your eyes to know and to see who actually are the enemies within. And also as well, let me just drop this as a closing note, a closing suspense for those of you who might possibly want to miss the coming class. The coming class actually, I'll be talking basically on the hidden truth about our own people. Like we all know that in Nigeria, we have three major tribes: the Igbos, the Hausas, and the Yorubas. We've talked about the enemies within, which are actually the Hausas and the Fulanis in Nigeria. But how about the Igbos and the Yorubas, who actually are people? What actually is the major reason why the Yorubas and the So my question is this: why do you think these two people, the Yorubas and the Igbos, why do you think they are always having this kind of beef among themselves? Now here's your fact. In our coming class, I'll be talking about the historical background of the Yoruba nation in Nigeria, connecting it back to the scriptures. With that being said, I will now round up that next class with the major reason why the Igbos actually are not having good terms, mostly with the Yorubas in Nigeria. So in case you might want to miss the next class, I'm sure that with this hint I've given to you, you will not want to miss this coming class. But before we get there, stay tuned. See you same time right here on Script Unveiled. I remain your host, DGN Yasharala. Shalom, Wakazak Mashpaka. Bye for now. So, guess what this plan B of Yahuwah is? The book of Joel chapter 3. I'll take from verse 9 down to verse 12. And it says, proclaim you this among the other nations. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spear. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourself together round about. Thither cause your mighty ones to come down, O Yahuwah. Look at verse 12. It says, let the Hayden be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the Haydens round about. So that's to tell you that this actually might be happening, but Yahweh actually have his own plan. Let them plan their own plan. Let them come up with their own tug of war. But Yahweh, with the Elohim of war, he has his own plan. He's not going to deal with them alone. He's going to deal with, he said, all the Haydens, not just only one of them. So I'm sure that with this class you just watched right now, I believe now you can have understanding of one of the enemies that we have within right here in Nigeria. They have been hiding this actually from us so that we will not even care to know the truth. And remember, whoever refuses knowledge will end up dining with the enemies. Yes, that's the whole fact. Now, if I even ask the singular question, why do you think even till this day, how possible do you think the Arabs in the so-called Arab nations today, how were they able to take a dangerous animal as pets? You keep seeing them having lions, tigers, all these wild animals. You keep seeing them having those wild animals as their pets. How did they work those things out? If these same people can be able to tame animals that are meant to be fearsome and they make them pets, how much more human beings that can't even harm them? It takes lion nothing to pick a human and tear the human in pieces. But yet, these same people, they took these wild animals as pets. Why? Because they are able to get those wild animals when they were cubs, and they start training them to be a pet. That is why most of these wild animals, they do think that they are what their masters train them to be. The same way our people also as well. Our people also as well, they are shallow of knowledge because we are actually following the pale track of how the slave masters have trained us to follow. Now, the slave masters have made us a people that must not read, but only follow whatever we are being told, without making full research about things. But remember, on the day that the lion knows that he's the king of the jungle, that is the day that his freedom comes. So with that being said, I believe you've learned from this class, you've known one of the people. In case for those of you all who are actually in the States or anywhere in the world that think everyone from Africa actually, most especially people in Nigeria actually are Hamites. No. We also have some enemies within, we have some Haydens within us as well. We have some Haydens within us as well. So for that sake, I'll be drawing the curtain as the end of today's show. And please don't forget to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. For those of you who have not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the videos, and also as well,
for sponsorship, advert placement, please call or WhatsApp this number +234 811 731 0928. GC Films, creativity at its best.